Hey guys, welcome back to Madhouse Parents. I'm Luke. I'm here with my wife, Jena, and I'm also here with a guest, Victor, all the way down in nice, warm,
sunny Texas.
Sunny
Texas. About 34 today. It's a rare day in Texas.
30.
I think it's like 32 here.
See, that's crazy.
It's not even that much colder.
Wow. So Iowa and Texas, they must border, right?
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, we'll close school if we get sleet. For y'all, it's just another day.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah.
Vacation.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. So Victor Pisano is with Charge Up. I actually met Victor a couple weeks ago at a John Gordon leadership conference. We were doing an activity like going around the room, sharing a card. I don't remember which card I had, but it might have been favorite movie or something. I think it was favorite movie, right? Favorite movie, or what's the movie you can watch over and over and over again? I think that's what the card was.
Just because you've never watched a movie twice, I don't think.
Which that was my response.
Oh,
I don't like watching movies
I was going to say, see, I didn't even know. How well do I know my husband? I was going to say, you don't watch movies twice.
Jena, he has to share those questions with you because some of them were great.
Yeah?
Some of them really made you think.
Yeah?
But the movie one was a good one because you either do or you don't. I don't think there's a middle ground.
Yeah,
so
I like
definitely
those kinds of questions. I actually heard that once that on like surveys, you're never supposed to have like 3. It's either 1 or like 1 to 4 instead of 1 through 5 because it gives people the option in the middle instead of swaying one way or the other. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That John Gordon thing. John Gordon was amazing, wasn't it, Luke?
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. He was awesome. Honestly, his facilitator, Julie, she was amazing. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Talk about being able to hold a room. And a room where there are probably 100, 200 people in there.
It was, what was neat about it is there were so many like-minded people who were all just itching to learn as much as they could.
Mm-hmm.
And what made it unique was John was able to walk around and to talk to people, and he had full trust in what Julie was doing. And when it started, I was kind of skeptical. Like, I thought John would be more involved in the teaching.
Yeah.
But I loved how he just came in with anecdotes and stories and where this came from. But Julie took charge. She was phenomenal.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
She was amazing. Just the way that she could command the room and turn it on instantly. Like there would be a little side conversation. She would just almost by looking at you, and then maybe she'd say 3 or 4 words, and the whole room would just be eyes pinned on her. And the energy was amazing. To your point, all the like-minded people that were there, everybody wanted to be there. That was the first conference that I've ever gone to where I was 30 minutes early before it started and the room was already full.
Exactly.
Everybody wanted to be there.
Ready to go. Ready to go.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I met Victor. Victor was a Charge Up out of San Antonio, Texas. He runs basically kind of a, I don't know if you call it consulting company, a leadership development, personal development type thing for student athletes. And I listened to a little bit of his podcast, looked up some of his stuff. We kind of exchanged information a little bit at the conference, but really intrigued with some of the awesome stuff that he's doing with kids. Really, really intrigued. It seemed to really sync with our message, with Madhouse Parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talk about some of the pillars. And it's just, man, it's the whole student athlete thing. We were talking about it before we started recording this podcast. You know, the whole student athlete thing has really changed over the last few years, hasn't it?
It absolutely has. And, when I was listening to your podcasts, you guys are great together. It's so hard just to team up with somebody, but husband and wife, you'll have such a great rapport, comfortable listening. But, I tell people that the word legacy scares so many high school kids. It's a big word.
Yeah.
But I always tell them your character and your integrity and what you do, you're building your legacy right now. Don't let that scare you. That's just a part of who you are and what you do. So why not put the effort in it and get ahead of the game and start creating those core values that are important? And I think that's what really drew me. I still have the Fortune 500 companies that I work with. And I absolutely love that. But to be able to shift and discuss leadership with student athletes from high school to NCAA programs, it's so encouraging to me because I do believe that there is a leader within every one of us.
Yeah.
And I can just elicit the greatness out of them through some sort of program or dialogue, something that just proves to them that they're capable of so much more than they can imagine, and also change the definition of leadership.
Yeah.
And let them know that it's simply influence.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you can have that same conversation with a 10, 11, or a 12-year-old just by saying your actions, your examples,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to set the tone for the environment you're in. So if you're participating in anything, school, sports, or even the relationship with the family, what you model, the behavior that you exhibit, people either want to follow you because they see what the outcome is, or people use that moral compass and they know I probably shouldn't follow in that direction because the consequences might not be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We already do that with our kids that are younger. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, it can start.
I remember as a high schooler just thinking back, and legacy. I mean, that never crossed my mind. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was interested in sports, girls, and doing whatever I could to have fun and school at the same time, right?
Absolutely.
And kids are kind of dumb a little bit, right? So they chase different things, and they don't necessarily compute everything through, right, before they do an action. So having someone that can kind of guide them and lead them and inspire them to understand that, hey man, you are in control of your destiny, right? And you are capable of greatness. And
Absolutely.
having someone speak into them like that, because most kids don't get that. Most kids don't have a mentor or a fellow classmate or even a parent a lot of the times that's speaking that, coaching them up almost, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's challenging. When we grew up, I'm older than you. I'm not going to give my age away, but I've got the gray hair to prove it. But
it's still there, though.
That's the good thing. At least I can wear a hat and uncover. But
yeah,
I'm so fortunate that we did not have cell phones.
Oh, man.
And because I think I really got to experience life.
Yeah.
I was present for every single thing I did, both football and baseball. That was where I took out my frustration. That is where I found my joy, my challenge. Those were the people that I hung around with. Those were the families my parents hung around with. I was involved in school. So my first mentors were my coaches.
Yeah.
And they molded me. They built my character. And, to be able to get it at home and then to get it at school as well, I feel extremely fortunate. I'm blessed. A big word for me is gratitude. And I have tremendous gratitude for those who were willing to invest in me.
Yeah.
When we talk about the ages, I was probably playing sports at 8 and 9 and 10 years old.
Yeah.
They were influencing me right then and there and building my character.
Yeah.
It's never too young to start thinking about what your core values are, especially your non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Like the things you know.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. The non-negotiables.
Yeah.
I've heard that. And I like that with kids too.
How do you, so as a parent, right, maybe a parent of student athletes, let's say they're 10, 12 years old, right? They're just kind of, maybe they played soccer for a while. Maybe they started when they were like our kids' age, 6, 7. They've been playing for a little while. How do you as parents help your kids find those non-negotiables, right? Those core values?
I think that's a great question. And part of it comes with teaching them the concept of self-awareness. And all that really is sitting down and asking them, like, what's important to you? If people talk about you, what words do you want them to use? If people are describing you, what words do you want them to use? So maybe they give you 3 or 4 great words. So if they say something like, he's honest, he is always happy. Well, if you've got those 2 things, then the non-negotiables obviously is going to be dishonesty. I will always tell the truth because people remember me this way. So it's a great tool to tell them the difference between one and the other. And so a lot of times I'll work with NCAA programs and we'll put this mission statement together. And it'll include some core values. And I'll ask them, what are you willing to risk? In other words, are you going to jeopardize any of your core values to win, to get ahead, to be one step better? Because if you are, what we're writing means nothing.
Yeah.
You can't jeopardize those things.
Yeah.
And you can teach that at a young age.
Sure.
You know, we talked about it earlier. Too many kids are playing on fields or courts where the conversation is more about the parents than it is about the actual sport. And what better place to enjoy your children than to see them be brave and courageous and play a sport and interact with others, because there's so many lessons to be learned. When my kids were growing up, I would just sit and watch.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun to see them discover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But they're learning so many different skills at that age. And they're learning, they're learning how to interact with others. They're learning
play as a team.
They're learning coordination. They're
Yeah.
learning what it means to be a team member,
Yeah.
teamwork. They're figuring out what they like and what they don't like too.
Which
right?
to say too, we've had the experience where parents have, and kind of what we were talking about a little bit ago too, parents are encouraging their kids to score the goal and not pass. Like when we were kids, I remember when I played soccer when I was very little, did not stick with it. But
I played the whole season though.
I did, and that's one of our rules too. They always have to, if they sign up for something, but I always had to pass like 3 times before we could shoot. Things like that. Where this year,
I was just going to say that.
I've never seen Hoosiers.
5 times, pass the ball 5 times, then you can shoot.
Okay, see, I've never even seen that movie.
Great
Maybe
movie.
that's
We're thinking the same thing, Luke. The same thing.
Yeah, we're connected.
Yeah, you're connected.
Yes.
Because the states butt up to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's frustrating though when parents are like, get the ball, take the ball down the field. It's like, no, like learn, encourage them to work together, because that follows off the field too.
Do you feel like a lot of, I'm not being judgy here at all, do you feel like a lot of parents try to live out their dreams through their kids? And like, how do you not do that as a parent? How do you not fall? Because I've even felt myself, that you sat on the sidelines like, come on, Preston, come on, you can do it.
You're not one of those dads.
But I'm not yelling, but in your head, you're like, oh, you got to score one more. Go, come on, that kid's got 4. You need to get 5. I mean, you're thinking that in your head, right?
I never knew you were thinking that in your head. You're
A
no
lot
longer
of
I'm a
allowed.
competitive person, but yeah.
It's true. They live vicariously through their child.
Yeah.
And you know what's really bad is if a kid peaks at 11, 12, 13 years old, and you're like, wow, you know, my kid is the fastest, the biggest, the strongest, the most agile, really is athletic. You immediately, you know, in 7th grade, you're already talking about college and scholarships.
How much pressure is that for a kid?
Oh, man.
And I'll tell you what it's done is, you know, the NCAA is now passed rules where you can't talk to a kid until the spring of their junior season. For sports like softball, there were 8th graders getting signed. So imagine making the decision that you're going to go to a university 8th grade. And then you wonder why so many are dropping out their sophomore year.
Yeah.
They weren't mature enough to make that decision. But mom and dad said, you know, hey, this is a Power 5 conference. This is a big school. You have the opportunity of a lifetime. They don't know any better.
Yeah.
They peaked. And then all of a sudden, everybody catches up to them. But mom and dad don't want to look at it that way. So they push and push and push. Burnout occurs.
Sure.
Man, how much to carry on your shoulders at a young age?
And then as a kid,
I can't even, you're dealing with so many other things in that age.
Sure.
So that just is another weight. I can't.
Imagine as a little boy, you're getting hair under your armpits, your voice is cracking, and
you're getting signed for college.
And you have all this like pressure from your parents to continue to excel so you can be that star athlete, right?
So question here, kind of going off. So do you see a lot of performance enhancement, like drugs and stuff come in at that point because kids are trying to keep up? No?
Thank goodness that's not come up. But what you do see is the kid who has no social time. So let's say they practice 2 days a week and they have a game 1 day a week. Well, now you're going to an offensive coach, a defensive coach, speed and agility.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you literally get picked up from school, go get coached, quick dinner, get your homework done, go to sleep. Where's youth?
Yeah.
Where's going outside and playing with your friends?
Yeah.
Where's reading a book? Where's having fun with mom and dad? Where are those things? They're lost. So in their mind, they already have this schedule. And, it's one of the things that when I talk to coaches, especially in the select realm, high school is very regulated, which is wonderful. There's a beginning and there's an end. But when I talk to select coaches, I ask them, when is the break? Now, a lot of them are like, no, it's 12 months. No. When is the break? Because it's not just the physical that has to heal, the bumps, the bruises. Mentally, these kids have got to escape and let go.
Yeah.
And be a child, be a kid. I don't care how old you are. You have to stop.
Yeah.
Put the cleats away, put the glove away, put the basketball away, and don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's the healthiest thing in the world, but everybody's looking for that next advantage.
See, but and this is completely on a different realm, but like we talk about this as in marriage all the time too. We take a vacation together once a year because we need to disconnect.
Yeah.
It's the same, it's a mental break. It's not, I'm not going to get woken up. I can have a couple glasses of wine at night, because I'm not going to have a sick kid in the middle of the night. Just to let go, not have mom, dad when we're trying to have a conversation. I get that on the age and season of our lives right now too. I can't imagine why people wouldn't think everybody needs a break. I mean, companies realize that when they hire people, they get vacation time. Everybody needs a break. So
part of it is, and tell me if I'm right, Jenna, but we need time where there's no schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We can wake up when we want, we can do what we want when we want, and we can go to sleep when we want.
Yeah.
That's part of the decompression.
Yeah. For sure. Absolutely.
Sometimes you just need time to think, too, right?
Yeah.
And you can't do that if you're involved in all these extracurricular activities 24/7, 365 days out of the year. You don't have time to even think about who you are, discover who you are, and have those weird, not weird conversation with your parents, but have some of those weird conversations with your parents. Understand.
Yeah. The same ones that we had.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because you have that connection, right? Yeah. There's the trust, there's the growth experience, and there's the comfort.
Yeah.
But if there's no time to ever stop and have these discussions in middle school and high school, then you're just learning from your friends.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones telling you and teaching you.
Well, and they might think, kids, if they're being pushed in that direction, might think that's what they want. I take, my work experience. I worked for a mortgage company before I started staying at home with our kids. And I kept thinking, that next step's the one that's what I want, that's what I want. So finally, when I decided I was going to take a step back and stay at home with our kids for a little bit, it was almost instant. I was like, I didn't want to do any of that. I kept thinking, I want this next step. And I was climbing the ladder.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh my gosh. It was just a realization almost immediately. I didn't want that is not the career I wanted, but I was, so I can see how kids would even think that too, if they aren't given time just to reflect and be like, this is not my sport. This is not what I want to do or whatever.
Absolutely.
Kind of.
You don't even know what you have. You don't even know what you have or what you're missing at that point.
Yeah.
You talked about gratitude a little bit ago.
Yeah.
You don't have time to be grateful at that point.
And what I try to do is I explain to, especially let's say 8th, 9th, and 10th graders, is I'll tell them there absolutely is an I in team. You've been taught forever that there is no I in team. But unless you know who you are, unless you have self-worth, you have those values and those non-negotiables, what can you contribute to a team? So we actually spend time talking about the I. And we develop those words that we want to associate ourselves with. We develop a thicker skin. So now it's not criticism, but it's guidance. It's counseling. We talk about how to handle stressful situations. And all those things, I think that's what's gravitated me towards the student athlete is they say 90% of the game is mental, but none of these kids go to a mental coach. You wouldn't expect them to.
Yeah.
Now the mental side is being embraced by high schools because they see the amount of stress that these kids are going through. What are they testing now in 8th grade and going all the way through high school for state standardization tests? On top of that, their social lives. Then add social media, which has destroyed the inner confidence of anybody involved.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I tell people, take 15 minutes when you wake up and don't touch that phone. Like, just reflect for a little while and talk about your goals for the day. Talk about the things that make you special. Think about the things that you're grateful for. Don't touch the phone.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good. Last night I was at a parenting session. It was parenting teenagers in a technology in a tech world. So it's kind of about what are some things to look for. What are some core things that are like discussions or rules or kind of boundaries you should put on some of this stuff. Couple interesting things from that. So one of the speaker brought up a study that was I think 10 years ago, but I Googled, there's a ton of different ones.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, parents, what do you think are the top 5 influences on your kids? Like, who has the most influence on your kids? And one of them was parents, one of them was relatives, one of them was peers, one of them was media. I don't remember the 5th one. But he asked the parents to rank them at the table. Like, which one has the most influence? Almost every single table put parents last.
Yeah.
As influence.
Yeah.
And he's like, you guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. He goes, actually, parents are the most influential people in your kids' lives.
Still, even
he's like, they may not like you. They may not want to talk to you, but you still have more influence than the media, more influence than their peers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't forget that.
Yeah.
I think, like, we're not at that level yet. Our kids are still young enough where if we tell them to go to the room, they go to the room, right? And they talk back some, but I can imagine as your kids are in high school, like, man, just your kids, they want to hang out with their friends. They want to do this other stuff. They're stuck in their phone and technology, but it's probably easy to think, man, I don't really have that much influence on my kids anymore.
Yeah.
I really believe that if you can instill habits and behaviors at a young age, it's as simple as start with there are times you have the phone. Start with, we used to have the cubbies for the kids. I remember when we ate dinner, they just put it in the cubby.
Yeah.
And if you just started, it's funny because as my kids got older, they didn't bring their phone to the table. In circumstances, we always taught them when you were talking to somebody, don't hold your phone. Put it in your pocket, be present, be social.
Yeah.
And this was when they were young. And those habits stay with them and they don't feel the pressure to constantly have that phone with them.
See, and we already, even though our kids are hopefully a very long way from having phones, we're going with that. Like at the dinner table, we still sit down as a family every night for dinner. We don't have our phones at the table. If our phones ring, our kids want to jump up. A lot of times they'll be like, we'll get it. And we're like, nope, they can wait until we're done with dinner.
Yeah, it's not important.
It's not important.
This is what's important.
This is what's important right now.
Right here.
So we have already just started trying to implement those things so that when we do cross average with our kids, they're just used to it. Like the same thing. Phones aren't at the table. We sit down to dinner every night. This is the time we talk about our day. We find out stuff. So much stuff comes out at the dinner table and right before bed when we lay in bed with our kids.
Or
like,
that was the most treasured
in the car. Yeah, in the car. Yeah. That's another one.
It's the most
a lot of times
treasured
you just turn down the radio when we're in the car. Like I don't even have it on because I want to just hear what they're saying. They forget that you're there too. So like when friends are in the car, and that's fun. You get all the dirt in the car.
It's funny because I think back and, I came from an Italian family and I can remember sitting at home and having dinner and the phone rings and my dad was literally like, who calls during dinner? Who would call during dinner? Don't touch that phone. Nobody calls during dinner. And, today there's phones going off everywhere.
Yeah.
I'll go to a meeting where I'm actually speaking with a group of people and the topic is social media. Because with athletes, we have to talk to them about that because it's guilty by association. So if a picture is posted or something negative, that college coach will write you right off. You're done.
Yep.
You're holding a red Solo cup. You're done. If you are retweeting something that's inappropriate, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are talking about social media, and somebody's phone will ring 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And I'm blunt, and I'm like, see, this is part of the respect.
Yeah.
This is it right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've got to, you got to let go. You're addicted to it.
Yeah.
They were talking about social media last night too, and one of the dads in the audience asked, he's like, Brandon, man, like I agree with everything you're saying, but I don't want to be too invasive to my kids.
Yeah, this
like
is
I don't
really
want to
good.
be like I don't want to read all their text messages, and I don't want to look at everything on social media. I want to give them some privacy. And Brandon's like, he kind of thought about it for a little bit. He's like, yeah, you don't want to be too invasive, but at the same time, anything that's put out in the public, there is no privacy, right? So with my kids, if you're putting stuff out in the public, like I want to see it. And I want to be able to coach you. And I want to be able to mentor you. And I want to be able to help. Because again, you're kids, you're young, you're not.
So basically what they're saying is they want it to be private just from you.
That's
so
right.
It's not private.
That's right.
They just don't want you to see. And if they don't want you to see, they're probably doing something that's against their moral compass or their core values.
Exactly.
Like that.
And, even today, it's funny because our whole family is on, Find Me.
Yeah.
So we all know where each other is.
Mm-hmm.
We all know each other's passwords because they knew in high school I was going to look through their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it as a way of intimidating them.
Yeah.
I did it just to make sure it was exactly what you just said, Luke. What you put out there is there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't take it back. So in case you do it, I'm not going to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show you the example, and hopefully that'll say, oh, wow, like I didn't realize that. And there were a couple, they weren't bad, but they were circumstances where, they think I didn't do anything bad. I just retweeted it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's on your account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
It is you.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of start getting it from there.
Yeah.
And it takes away from developing who they are and their personality. The big thing that I have to deal with a lot of student athletes is they have a tremendous fear of failure. And it's based so much on perception. And that perception is coming from what they see on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And they're ranking themselves.
Mm.
They are comparing themselves to other people. And, what I try to explain to them is there's no such thing as perfection. So get that out of your head, because perfection is a finish line. And you're striving to be perfect, and that's not going to happen.
Sure.
Think of different words like chasing greatness or aspiring to achieve something. But we have to replace, as a society, I believe, we have to replace, the words like perfect. And we have to come up with different verbiage for them to understand that it's okay to make a mistake. Failure is a great thing.
Yeah.
My lessons in life were all learned by failure.
Yeah.
Sure.
The best lessons I ever had. And I see parents now, regardless of age, when their kid doesn't do something right, and they just kind of laugh about it, and they'll encourage them and say, hey, get back up. Like, let's try it again. And you have no clue the confidence that you're building right then and right there. You think it's no big deal, but the more you say that, the more times they get up. As they get older, they're not afraid of failure because they know they can overcome it.
Yeah.
Right.
All it takes is belief. That's the key word. If I believe in you, then I'm going to accept the fact that you're going to fail along the way, but I'm never going to waver from my belief.
Mm-hmm.
But irregardless of the age of a child, once they have that feeling of belief of somebody else, what a great nurturing feeling as they push. Because I wanted my kids to go outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
I really wanted sometimes for them to just jump off the cliff and build their wings on the way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would surprise themselves. And I'd look at them and I was like, I never doubted it. I never doubted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah. We do.
The best way to do that is to model it as a parent too, right? To do things to show them you're doing things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or doing things that are that take a little bit more courage.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that in the car. What was it last week? I was telling you, I can't remember what the exact circumstance was, but I was like, guys, you know how we're always telling you to push yourself and like get outside of your own comfort zone? Guess what I did today? Like, does this sound like something mom would do at all? And they kind of laughed and they were like, you did that? And I was like, I did.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what the exact, I think it might have been something, we do CrossFit. It might have been something there.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know what else is easy for parents to model is saying I'm sorry to their spouse.
You
know, say that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Humility.
Yeah.
You know, it teaches humility and vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Because when they see mom and dad say I'm sorry,
absolutely,
then it makes them easier to understand how much those two words mean.
Yeah.
When they see mom and dad make a mistake and they're like, okay, my fault. Like that was me, all on me. I tried. Then they're more comfortable with saying my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
And apologizing to your kids as well. Like we've had that where like I've lost my patience, not their fault at all, but they just get the brunt of my frustration. And then afterwards, and I'll be on like at their level and be like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. That was not on you. That was on me. Like just taking responsibility and showing them that too. Like, especially on their level, like, I'm sorry.
I think that's huge.
I was wrong. I do too. Somebody told me that a long time. I think it was my aunt told me that her dad did that to her one time in her life. And she's like, I still remember like what I was wearing. Like he took it was so impactful that he like said he was sorry and I was wrong. And those words, she's like, they stuck with me like my entire life.
Yeah. It makes you human, right? We're all flawed. So
exactly.
if you can teach your kid humility by actually acknowledging and apologizing to them.
We talked about the times we talked about the times we enjoyed with our kids. So one of the things that we all agreed on was bedtime.
Yeah.
And those are some of the best conversations. And what I took advantage of at bedtime was really like reflection. Yeah. And those were times where sometimes they were the most vulnerable. And they would tell you, I just had a bad day.
Yeah.
And all you really had to do was say, tell me about it. I don't think I ever pushed the subject of trying to fix it. I just wanted them to let it out.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because I felt trusted and they felt comforted.
Yeah.
And, I'll share with you. So, I started Charge Up actually at my lowest point in my life. So for me, Charge Up was based off, I had to move from grief to gratitude. My life coach, my mentor, the person who taught me leadership, who provided me examples of character and integrity, was my father. And 2 years ago, I get a phone call and he dies of a sudden heart attack. And I was lost. I had no clue of what I was going to do because that was my phone call. Regardless of me being in senior leadership of the company that I was in, regardless of, back then 22, 23 years of marriage, adult kids, my wife was my best friend. My second phone call was my father. And that's just how Italians are. The boys with the dads and the girls with the moms. But, one of the things that my father did was he would encourage us to really take light of what you are grateful for. So before you go to sleep at night, he would want you to write the 5 things down that you're most grateful for of that day. So we'd start this probably at 14, 15 years old. And, I'd be on track. Everything would be going really good with it. And we would share it with each other. We would talk about it because my older brother had done it, my younger sister, and he'd say, okay, I'm going to challenge you. I don't want you to repeat the same thing in a week. So, if I had a great test grade or something, or a great game, if I had 2 of them, I could only do it one time. That was it. It was off limits. So all of a sudden 5 became 4 and 3, and I was struggling. And I went to him and I said, okay, I'm losing it. He said, okay, I'm going to throw another one at you. I know how much you appreciate a roof over your head. I know how much you appreciate the food on the table, friendships and family. Let's push those aside because I understand it. I really want you to go deeper than that. So let's take those off the list. And see, I'm laughing because I'm like, I came to you for help to get back
you're
up.
Making it harder.
And you're pulling it away from me. Wow. And I literally maybe went 2 or 3 weeks where I would just have 1 or 2 things.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
parents are great at guided discovery. They'll let you figure it out, but the whole time they were pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, Dad, explain to me this gratitude thing because I don't get it. And he said, give me your definition. I said, okay, it's the great things that people do for me. It's everything from the outside and what I'm able to experience that I have gratitude for. And he said, I think that's a beautiful definition. I want you to switch the lens. Imagine if you thought of gratitude as inward out. What if you had complete control every single day to hit your 5? Like you could literally hit your 5 by noon because you had control of the gratitude. He said, do things for others. Quit waiting for people to do things to you.
Mm.
And then I started thinking about all the things he would do that sometimes, remember I said, get comfortable being uncomfortable?
Yeah.
As a kid, I'd be uncomfortable because we'd be somewhere and my dad would walk off because he would go help an old lady put her groceries in the car.
Wow.
Or
Yeah.
instead of giving somebody on the streets money, he would go get them something to drink and something to eat and take them.
Sure.
Like, oh, Dad, you're a teenager.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden I understood my dad was doing his gratitude list. In his mind, he was doing it. He was the person who had, a couple note cards on his desk and he would write thank yous or notes to people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once I understood gratitude is what I do, it was great for me to do the same with my kids. And I did it at a younger age with them than I was at 14 or 15, where I explained to them what gratitude is. And they learned how to write a handwritten note and put a stamp on it and mail it. They were 5, 6, 7 years old writing thank you notes. And if it was just one sentence, it means something to somebody. You pick up your phone to call your grandparents. You don't email them or text them.
No.
Right.
And see, that's where gratitude comes in because it's a win-win if you do it right.
Yeah.
What an incredible lesson at such a young age, though.
Yes.
To have a father that was that, that intentional with you and with your kids, especially willing to be patient and let you kind of figure it out on your own too, right? I think
because we as parents want to jump in right away.
We're just an impatient society to begin with. We just want it done, right?
Yeah.
We want something instant.
Everything's busyness.
The things you got to figure out on your own over time.
True.
That's awesome.
True.
That's awesome, man. We really appreciate your time, Victor.
This is awesome. Thank you, Victor.
Love all the stuff you're doing with Charge Up, dude. All the work you're doing with student athletes. That's stuff that we need, and that's very, very visible that we need it in our society. So we appreciate everything that you're doing.
Sure.
And I say we flip this thing up. How about we try to get together again here soon?
Yeah.
And you can instill some wisdom on some of the parents I have. I'm sure they face some of the challenges and the questions that you guys are addressing on your podcasts.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be a great idea because I had a great time. You two are great.
Thank you so much,
we
Victor. That was awesome. I learned so much.
How can people find you?
So, on social media, every area, we are at Charge Up Today.
Okay.
And then on the website is www.chargeuptoday.com. Nice. And it's got everything from blogs, videos, podcasts, and it's from the aspiring leader to the experienced leader. And it's got something for everybody.
Nice. Well, I loved it, man. I learned some stuff today too. that the whole non-negotiable thing, and we've talked about that a little bit. The one thing that we've talked about before was a family mission statement. We haven't done it yet, but we've got to. That has to be on our list. We have this chalkboard in our den that my wife wants us to take out anyway. She doesn't like it, but a chalkboard. I really want to write the family mission statement. Just write on. We got to do that.
Yeah.
What's crazy is
put all those core values in there too.
Yeah, absolutely, and let them fill it out for themselves.
For years I've done the John Gordon one word. Like I love my one word.
Yeah.
Well, I was teaching my kids that. So unfortunately, my kids are too old for it now. But he just released one word for kids.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's such a great concept because you talk about core values and non-negotiables.
Mm-hmm.
If they just pick one word and live to it and are able to repeat it to you.
Yeah.
And others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a start. So the fact that he did it for kids. I wish it would have been so much earlier because I always thought it was applicable to everybody.
Yeah.
And I love the mission statement. I love that because you're a family.
Yeah.
We have to protect each other.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. You could really incorporate that one word into the family mission statement, and it can change every year. That's what I like about
absolutely
because it maybe one year it's impact, and then maybe one year it's influence, which they're very similar. But you you can adapt it as things in your life change and as you
Mhm.
grow, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Ladder.
Absolutely. But this
Anyway,
was
man.
great.
yeah, we appreciate
Yeah,
you. It
thank
was a
you.
great discussion. I'm actually going to be in San Antonio in end of February, so we may have to get together for lunch or dinner or something.
And it won't be 100 degrees in February.
No, it'd be great.
You count on it. We'll take you down to the river. You get to experience the river walk.
Yeah, I've been there a few times. It's a fun time.
It is. It's a nice place. Then that's great. Then we'll at least get to see each other again.
Yeah,
sounds
sounds
good.
awesome.
Jenna
Man.
with you?
I don't think she's coming this
I'm
time.
going to Savannah and Charleston
A couple
in
weeks.
a couple weeks. Yeah, we're going.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. February, I might be looking to go somewhere warmer.
Yeah,
See.
we'll see.
There you go. There you go. Absolute
man.
pleasure, and I'm humbled that y'all asked me to be a part of this. Thank you.
Dude, we're
gave
very
us so much
thankful for you. And
information.
part 2. We'll look forward to
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Definitely do that.
Part 2, coming soon.
Sounds
All right, man.
good. Thanks,
All right, have a good
Victor.
night. Thanks, Dick.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Bye.